that Facebook needs to do is to have a kind of super Facebook for super intelligent nerds.
No, their stock is going down because they're not generating revenue.
Yeah,
they don't have an effective revenue generating.
Yeah, they don't have
model
effective
yet,
revenue generating.
right? They're not getting the kind of advertising revenue that they thought they were going to get.
Yeah.
And investors want return on investment.
Right.
Well, and so maybe we need a new economic model as part of what. But see, here's what I'm saying. When I go to church, every Sunday I go to church. Except
You
I
do?
don't. Well, I do, but I sort of bypass. Once in a while I go to the big thing where everybody's praising the Lord.
Now wait, do you go to a Catholic church or an Episcopal church?
Neither one.
Which church you go to?
Evangelical Protestant.
You go to Evangelical Protestant? What church is that do you go to?
Grace Fellowship Church in Grace Fellowship Church in Timonium, Maryland. It's
in Timonia?
Yeah.
Timonia? It sounds like
yeah. All right.
It sounds like that Charlie. It sounds like that.
Which is
it sounds like that Charlie Chaplin, the great dictator.
Timonium is just a couple miles south of Cockeysville.
Cockeysville?
Cockeysville.
Oh, come on, you're kidding me. I don't believe it.
That's not a joke. You can Google it.
You go to Cockeysville?
Just a couple miles south.
Is it on the bay? Is it near Chesapeake Bay?
No. Yeah. Anyway, there's
how's the pizza in Cockeysville?
No, what's good? Crabs are good.
The crabs, okay, they're crabs, okay. All right.
Yeah, they have great soft shell crab there.
All right.
A soft shell crab? Well, maybe we'll come on.
Those too. Those mostly go to New York though. We can't afford soft shell crabs.
Oh, really?
We're too poor. They all go to New York.
Manhattan?
Manhattan.
Oh,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah.
Well, Dan, let me ask you a question.
Wait,
Armageddon. Apocalypse.
When did this occur to you?
Right after the financial collapse of 2008.
Oh, wait.
Yeah.
So Dan, if the end times is only relevant for humans, okay, so the end times could come in myriad ways. It could be a nuclear war, an ecological catastrophe, a new deadly plague that wipes out all human beings.
Economic collapse, EMP, all those things.
But that's not going to make any difference in the general point because the universe will still be here.
Right.
You wish. You hope.
Well, of course. No, of course, if it really is a dream. See, if it really is a holographic virtual reality, maybe it won't be here. That's what he's saying. Maybe. Can't rule it out, but I'm not acting as though that's the way it is. I think I still am enough of an Einstein-Bohm objectivist that the universe is going to be here independent of us because that big cosmic computer in the sky may not give a damn about us. That's the other thing. In other words, God may be God may be malicious. God may not be subtle. God may be malicious.
Well, that's why programmers write in redundancy into very complicated
and God may
programs.
even be the devil.
Maybe
it's all
one
a big
module
joke.
fails, though another module will take over.
Yeah.
So,
right, exactly.
But you seem to be of the mindset that if humanity's gone, everything's gone.
Albert and I believe God does not play dice with the world.
You think God is that big teddy bear in the sky?
Yeah. And despite all the evil,
God is your Snoopy blanket, is your cosmic Snoopy blanket.
Well, the experiments they did with the infant monkeys, they were taken away from their mothers and given surrogate mothers. One was a warm and fuzzy surrogate, and the other was a cold, wiry. Yeah. And they both had nursing bottles.
Yes. And?
Now the infant monkey that was raised with the wire frame, cold wire frame, was obviously mentally damaged by this experience. However, the one that had the warmer, fuzzier surrogate was more exploratory and more normal curiosity. And I'm saying that part of the benefit of Christianity is that we have a warm and fuzzy God, not quite the Old Testament, a thunderbolt.
You may be
kind
right.
of God.
You may be right. I'm more of an Old Testament guy.
Yeah.
Yahweh is a jealous extraterrestrial,
vengeful God.
But still,
he's a vengeful God.
Yeah, we do have this ambience of that we are we can pray, and God is looking out for us.
You know what? I hope you're
and
right. I hope you're right.
Yeah, right.
It'd be great if you're right. But
Right.
I'm hedging my bets.
But if you're wrong, it really doesn't matter in the general scheme of things,
Well,
does
if I'm
it?
wrong, then it's nothing we can do. Probably.
Exactly.
I mean, no. Okay, so now we need to be saved, right? Or I mean, we are facing this eschaton. thing.
Well, it looks as though America needs. It looks like America and Europe. It looks as the whole planet needs to be saved because the planet is obviously self-destructing now on many levels, and the speed at which the self-destruction will come to a completion is it's accelerating.
Especially in a complex, fragile, vulnerable civilization. The electric grid.
Apocalypse. I mean that certainly is getting more and more likely. Things are not getting better. Things are getting worse. The political leadership in America has completely failed in both parties. And by the way, the parts of the Tea Party are like the Nazis. I heard last night on PBS a normal, old-fashioned Eisenhower Republican woman went to somewhere in Oklahoma, wherever it was, and then these Tea Party idiots went out and said if she came back again, they'd slash her tires. They're like the SS brown shirt thugs in Weimar, Germany.
Now, speaking,
and maybe on the extreme left also. So things are being polarized, and that's why I say it's going to be like Yugoslavia. When Yugoslavia broke up, this polarization between the left and the right, the red and the blue, is going to lead to civil war, and we're going to have Aleppo in Washington, D.C., in Manhattan, in Los Angeles, San Diego.
Unless what?
You tell me. Unless what?
Unless there's a miracle.
Yes.
A miracle.
1 minute, gentlemen.
What?
1 minute left on the tape.
All right, that's a good place to stop.
Yeah, all right.
Hey, that's good. That's good. That's good. Hey, listen. We're going to run for president.
All right. I'll be the president. You be the co-president.
You look like
the vice president.
He looks like Savage said. You look like
that's what I was going to bring up. You were talking about the Tea Party and all those crazies, and I was going to bring up Michael Savage.
Yeah.
Jack was, when we finished the last tape, Jack was talking about the polarization that was going on in the country.
And the world.
And
loud, speak loud.
Well, I can't shout.
Project.
I'm not. I can only do what I do.
Yeah.
Sorry. And all right. So all around the world there's fragmentation especially between religions.
Yes.
Like between Muslim and Christian.
And between Muslim and Muslim. What do you mean? Sunni. Sunni and Shiite.
Not to mention the Alawites.
The Alawites
or the Sufis.
And the Sufis.
And the Baha'is.
No, the Baha'is are very peaceful. They don't engage.
Well, so everybody else.
That Nazi who just shot all the Sikhs, you know.
Well, right.
Yeah. He shot himself, by the way.
Now, this was segue into dinner we had last night.
Yes.
With Jack's friend, Michael Savage.
Yes.
At his friend's restaurant. A very good restaurant, North Beach restaurant.
Lorenzo and also Maurice Canbar.
And Maurice Canbar.
Yeah.
And
Tony Gantner.
Okay, but we were having dinner with Michael and his wonderful
Teddy the poodle,
who would sit right up at the table, and it's like she was joining in the conversation.
It's a he. Teddy was the best.
By the way, Michael Savage really does have a soft side.
Yes,
we've seen it.
Teddy was the best behaved of all the four sentient creatures there.
Yeah, and got his own meal. Special meal brought to him.
Yes.
All right.
By a waiter in a tuxedo.
Yeah. Now, most people know
Teddy for president.
Yeah. As Kim just said, although most people think of of Michael Savage as being almost Tea Party, almost a rabble rouser, Tea Party, burn the barricades. He does have this other side.
He's an independent thinker. He's neither a Republican nor a Democrat. He's a total.
Actually, he's a recovering bohemian.
He is a bohemian. I mean,
He still is a bohemian.
He was a hippie. Was he?
Well, no, never. I was never hippie. No,
no, he was a bohemian.
He was a. Comes from the Ferlinghetti, but he realized the mistakes of the left, and so he's an independent maverick. He's kind of like a Lenny Bruce. He's a gadfly. He's like Socrates. He's very intelligent.
And he has a big following.
10 to 15, maybe 20 million Americans.
Right.
Yeah.
Now,
and that includes a lot of people in the Tea Party.
Right. Now maybe Michael is there to, give these people a mouthpiece, be their spokesperson, and at the same time give an outlet, give people an outlet, a safety valve. He's sort of like a safety valve on the body politic.
Yes.
And he's probably not the only one like this.
No, there's several. But he's the most intelligent one of the bunch.
Right.
He's definitely the most intelligent. He has the highest IQ. He's got the best academic credentials, and you never know what he's going to say, because some things might sound very left wing and some things very right wing. But he says it as he sees it.
Right. Now, would you say I did ask him about eschatology. I was about to. What do you think we were talking about eschatology and about a miracle, that if the world, a lot of people think privately, if not publicly, that we're in dire straits.
I just said we are.
And
we're at the edge.
Right.
Not only what is the cartoon where he runs over the edge of the cliff?
The Roadrunner.
Wile E. Coyote and Roadrunner.
Wile E. Coyote. Yeah. And I'm not the only one who's making that out. Some very sober people on public radio have even said that, and maybe Paul Krugman or somebody. I don't know if it's left wing, right wing, whatever. Yeah. But I mean, we're at that point. It's like Peter Pan, and they're looking down there. We could just drop them, man.
Right. Now, suppose there is this global cosmic mind of which we are pieces, and there is this drama. Is that God is a drama queen?
Absolutely, a diva.
God.
Maybe God is like Maria Callas.
Yeah, coming from the Old Testament, New Testament tradition. God was always out there with.
Well, you know what? I don't think it's God. I think what it is. I think it's a particular kind of extraterrestrial.
Yeah.
With the Garden of Eden, in which we've been genetically engineered on this planet, and we're like, who's that guy? That academic guy from Pomona College. Remember, we used to be in touch with him, the anthropologist guy who says we're property, or was it? Of course.
Property. Yeah.
Yeah, where the Garden of Eden.
That was Charles Fort.
That was Charles Fort.
But this guy, okay, Charles Fort. That's right.
Was the Fate magazine.
Yeah, the Fate. Yeah. Okay, so I mean, we may be genetically engineered on this planet, you see. And so, and Yahweh may be the jealous God of the Old Testament, could just be some extraterrestrial, or as Kelvin on Formulab says, some extraterrestrial kid that doing his high school thesis, in which we're just a virtual simulation.
Or as the Chinese curse would say, may you live in interesting times.
Yes.
And
we're definitely living in interesting times.
Does seem to be, and maybe these are the best possible interesting times, and leading up to.
In terms of drama, yes.
All right.
This is the most dramatic. Now, if you say that, are we living in the most dramatic
possible
universe?
With
cliffhangers That I would certainly agree.
Right.
It's best enough. We're certainly in a drama.
Well, Dan,
All right,
to me,
all
if you,
right.
Theatrical universe.
if the God that you are speaking of, the compassionate, loving God that you speak of, is real, then I cannot see
That I speak of.
Yeah, that's what I
me
said.
being
Christian.
Right, being a Christian. I just don't see. I don't
Being a
see
born-again,
how
evangelical.
this God could allow ourselves to destroy ourselves.
Yes.
Right, I don't, and that's why, that's why we have the second coming. You see.
Well,
Oh.
hey, hopefully, you know what? At this point, I would say, prior to September 15, 2008, I would say it's total nonsense. You know, I would chastise you. I would
Yeah,
beat him
oh,
up. I would.
God, he would.
Oh
Oh,
God, would
God.
I abuse this
Oh,
man?
yeah.
I would
Oh,
abuse this poor, this sweet fellow. I would
was
abuse
terrible.
him. I would
It was
abuse him.
ter-
It
I
was
know.
terrible.
You can see it
I
on
would
film.
abuse
You can see him abusing me.
Yeah, I can abuse him.
Yeah.
But right now, man, I hope he's right because things look pretty bad. Actually, my father was also evangelical. My father was like you, right?
Who I met.
All right, he was the
Who
same
I
as
met.
Stan.
Oh, I was a born again.
Yeah, I was like, he was the
Oh,
same
well, yeah.
thing. But all seems
Yeah.
the Buddhism and Tibetan or whatever.
Right, he was
He
in
was
the Krishnamurti and
Eclectic, yeah. But Dan, let's hope you are right because you are the last hope. Of the
Hey,
world.
how much
Dan,
did I pay?
Okay.
How
No,
much
you
did
didn't
I
pay anything. Dan Smith is the last hope of the planet Earth in 2012.
2012. Well, see, now there's another. 2012 is
We can't decide if
prophetic.
it looks more like Harry Truman or Henry Fonda playing Harry Truman.
Harry Fonda playing
Henry Fonda
Truman.
playing
what were you going to say about
Harry.
2012?
Yeah.
2012, yes. This is what? August 9th, 2012.
2012.
And according to the Mayans,
In Los Angeles.
in Los Angeles, across from the Palladium,
Yeah. No, across from the Tuscan
thing.
the Tuscan palace, the Palazzo.
Yeah, all right. That I don't know, thousands of years ago, looking at the stars, the Mayans figured out that the end of the world, the end of the great cycle, the 6,000-year cycle, was going to occur in December 21st, 2012.
Okay, now I'm not sure, Kim. You posted, I think, something from Scientific American about what that really was about. Was
Right.
it something recent? Do you remember what that was?
Right. Well, it
On
was just it was
stardrive.org.
nonsense.
Stardrive.org, which
It's-
is where is
Yeah,
Jack's
no,
website.
Okay, go, just say it again because the helicopter,
no, there's
the
the
Department of
scientific-
Homeland Security helicopter
No, but it's not
is
black.
monitoring
It
us.
was- it was
Well,
not black. It
It's
was
a
not
red.
a
It's a
black
communist red helicopter.
All right. No. It was just
Repeat that.
Scientific American recently published an article
Yeah.
saying that all the hoopla about the 2012 Mayan calendar stuff was completely based in an erroneous interpretation of the Mayan.
And I don't believe any of this
Codices.
2012 BS.
I know,
don't
it's
believe
all
it.
BS.
However,
It's all- don't
by
believe it, don't
synchronicity,
believe it, yeah.
synchronicity though, is that we are in grave trouble.
Yeah.
And I don't think it
Yeah.
matters whether
right.
Obama is
Yeah.
president or Romney is president, unless there's a big change in the composition of the Congress. Nothing's going to happen. We're going to be stalemated, and we are like the Weimar Republic, and we're waiting for the next Adolf Hitler or Benito Mussolini to come into power.
Right. Who was a good friend of your great aunt's?
Mussolini.
Mussolini.
Not my great aunt, just the cousin of my father.
Cousin of your father.
But genetically, we're close.
Well, the harsh reality is that you're right. We are, global resources are diminishing, populations are increasing.
Yeah.
Climate change is going to have completely unforeseen effects upon all of that. And the usual response by governments in situations like that is to become more fascistic and
Yeah, well, we
draconian.
are living in a fascistic oligarchy. As fascism light, it may become
let's face it,
fascism
most
heavy.
humans don't like being held in captivity.
Yeah.
And they rebel.
Well, except now we see people are so brainwashed, they're not going to rebel anymore. Most people are like sheep, like cows.
Well, they'll
ready
rebel.
for
They'll rebel
slaughter.
when their pocketbooks start getting hit.
Well, they already have. No, but Kim, the facts of the matter is that many millions, their pocketbooks have been hit. The middle class, the American middle class, has been eviscerated. It's shrinking, and yet there's no real. I mean, it's been a pathetic Tea Party. They haven't done much, and there's been a pathetic Occupy movement.
Well, so as long as they
You never
can
hear
watch
from them.
as long as they can watch their sports circuses on television,
As long as they watch the Olympics and they have TV
and go to
they get-
fast food outlets.
Yeah, no, nothing's
and-
going to happen that way.
You're
Nothing's
right.
going to happen that way. It's not like it was. People are.
So hopefully there won't be another Hitler.
There's going to be another Hitler. Of
Well,
course
there
there's gonna
might
another
be.
Hitler.
Yeah, if well,
Yeah, quite, hopefully he won't be against the Jews.
Well,
Well, you know, if there is
I don't
another,
care.
if there
I
is
don't-
another Hitler,
Get
he-
there, get there.
you know, if there
Get here,
is,
get
if
here.
another demonic personality like Hitler does surface on this planet, he's more than likely going to be what they call the Antichrist,
Yeah, that's the Antichrist. Well, some
Now
people say
at
Hitler
Grace
wasn't.
Fellowship Church,
or she.
And
Could
some
be a she.
people-
Yeah.
on Open Mind, the original Open Minds Forum, people used to think I was the Antichrist.
No, you're not the Antichrist.
But then they figured out.
You're
I'm
too much like
probably-
Mitt Romney to be the
I know,
Antichrist.
well, I know.
You're
but
too,
then,
you're too
you know,
sweet a guy.
I figured I was too harmless.
Yeah, you're
I
much
was
too
too
harmless.
harmless to be.
On the other hand, I could be the Antichrist.
well, okay, so we need a miracle, right?
Yes, we
we
need a
do
miracle.
need a miracle.
We do need, at this point, Dan, prior to September 15th, 2008, I would have said Dan is totally crazy. Right now, the miracle, yes, Dan is correct.
Well, would that be?
Well,
And I mean that
will
in
be
all
a-
sincerity.
Will that be a political miracle, or will it be a technological miracle?
Maybe a
Well-
combination of all of them. Maybe a combination of all of them.
Well, I'm saying that
I'm
there
not
too,
betting
wait
on
a minute,
America.
There could be a scientific breakthrough, a technological scientific breakthrough that would give us
Doubtful.
free energy.
Right.
No.
Free energy.
Okay. Well, Brian
Free
Joseph.
energy.
Okay,
Yeah.
Brian Josephson, Nobel Prize physicist.
That's
who's-
what I'm hoping. I
Who's
mean,
been very
Yeah.
much demonized by the establishment. Brian Josephson, fellow of the Royal Society, Nobel Prize in Physics, thinks there's something to this Rossi ECAT cold fusion
Yeah,
thing.
yeah. Low energy,
However,
low
the
energy
point-
nuclear fusion.
However, that's the good news.
Uh,
The bad news is from Lori Chickering, an old friend from the
Yeah.
Reagan administration.
Yeah.
You know, Cap Weinberger.
Intelligence kind of person.
Yes, intelligence sort of person. You know, who has pointed out many sober analysts have shown even if you get something like the ECAT, it's not going to happen in. It takes time. We have too much inertia. We have too many cars on the
what does
road.
ECAT stand for?
ECAT is this cold fusion reactor that this Italian, but the Italian, he's
all
been he's kind of questionable. But maybe Brian,
right.
even if
Yeah.
it was even the best of all possible scenarios,
Yeah.
even if it's right, it's too little, too late to prevent a population die-off. You know, it's going to be apocalyptic.
Right.
And the poorer people of the world are going to die off.
Well, the
miserably.
Pentagon
That's
is
so-
already
yeah.
Pentagon is already planning
Yeah.
on wars, major regional conflicts
Major regional,
due
see it in
to
Syria.
climate change, due
Yeah,
to climate change and resource
Water,
shortages.
Well, we're gonna have shortages of fresh water. We have shortages of everything. And then if our fragile electric grid collapses in America,
As it did in India.
as it did in India
a couple days ago.
Yeah. It's going to happen here
Well, can
too.
you imagine that? That says
boy.
something about the Indian
600
mindset.
million people.
600
Twice as
million
many people as live in the
without
US.
power, and there were no major riots. There was the government didn't fall.
Nobody even
Imagine that.
died.
Imagine that happening in the United States.
No.
Yeah. Okay.
Well,
Imagine
I don't
what
know.
the
It's hard to
results
know
would
what
be
would
here.
happen in the United States. We'll
I
see.
bet it would be it. Yeah.
But these neo-Nazi militias, remember, they're organized. They have guns. They have, hundreds. I mean, they're dangerous.
All right, but when I get this fly out of my scotch,
Yeah, don't waste the scotch. Drink the
No,
scotch anyway.
no.
This-
I have to
that
finish
scotch is
this
too
up
expensive.
before we
And,
finish
and
this
besides,
thing.
it's
Yeah.
high alcohol content will kill any bugs.
Well,
in it.
personally, Jack, as far as
Wait,
militias,
wait,
let me just say something about militias. I don't have a problem with non-racist, non-extremist militias.
But
as
there
far
aren't
as the
any of
United
those.
States goes.
Hey, there aren't any of those. They're all
Yes, there are, Jack. Yes,
Who?
there are. There are moderate, there are good militias out there comprised of blacks, Chinese, white people, and they are
Multiracial militias?
they are simply organizing because they are worried about an out of control
Where,
Yeah.
can you
federal
name some?
government.
Where are they?
All right, not all militias are bad.
wait, Jack.
Yeah.
My sister was part of the Montana militia. My
Right.
dear departed,
Right.
recently departed
Yeah.
sister.
The Montana militia is
on my-
multiracial. They do not discriminate.
And I spoke to his sister, yes.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, she died.
And she died, but it still lives in the Open Minds as
stay there.
sitting next to me in the Open Minds forum picture.
Right.
And
there are non-extremist, non-racist,
all right.
All we can say
non-bigoted
is
militia groups out there.
all we can say is when the apocalypse comes, keep calm and carry on.
Oh
Keep
yeah.
calm, keep calm and carry on.
This kind. Okay.
That's all we can do.
All right. All right.
What Winston
But
Churchill.
see, I was hoping here that
You got
Jack.
plenty. You don't need it.
No, I don't need any more.
Kim, what about you? You
I'll
need
come
it.
over and get one.
Yeah, but he's got
I
plenty.
was
I
hoping that
overindulged.
Jack was.
Here, I'm the
going
face
to-
behind the camera.
Oh, but now you're destroying the mystery. See,
No,
this is a
no.
mystery
No,
voice.
No, Kim's the Don Johnson. He's the better looking of the three.
Well, right. That's why we have to keep him behind the camera.
No, funny you should mention John Johnson. Don Johnson. One day he was filming out here when he was filming that terrible TV
The
series.
streets of San Francisco.
And he was out in front of the Pt2, and I walked up, and he was right next to me, and I says, "Isn't that John Donson?" He had no sense of humor at all. He got really pissed off. That's John Donson.
Hey, has Woody Allen showed up in North Beach yet?
I don't know. I hear he's a recluse. He doesn't like to go out in public that much.
Did you hear about Michael and Woody Allen? Michael
No.
Savage, Woody Allen?
Yeah.
Woody Allen and what's her name? Kate Blanchett and
Ooh, she's
Alec Baldwin.
gorgeous. I
They're
love
filming.
Kate Blanchett.
They were filming
Oh, God.
right on Michael's street
What were they
In
doing?
Ti-
Going around the
in
block? or
Tiburon?
something?
in Belvedere. Right on the street.
Belvedere.
What was it? And so Michael went out in his $10 million 60-foot yacht and just parked right in front his yacht, so that it's in the background of the film that they were shooting there.
All right, so let's get back on topic, gentlemen.
Okay, but see, I was hoping. I was hoping until 2 minutes ago that Jack was going to defend science, the technological or scientific salvation through.
I know. I
through
did up until
free energy.
a few years ago. I was hoping that wormholes, but after discussing with Laurie Chickering too, who's sent some very interesting intelligence, and also other people I know in the Central Intelligence Agency, people who are.
I don't know
pretty
anybody.
savvy.
I don't know anybody
Well,
there. No.
What do you
Yeah.
mean you don't know?
Well, no, who recently fired or demoted.
Oh well, no, yeah, but no,
Yeah.
but I'm talking about other people, and they're all very pessimistic. It doesn't look good. It does not look good. I mean, the wealthy are forming their own survivalist communities, and
Yeah, but we
the
shouldn't just
backwoods-
throw in the towel.
the what?
We
Throw in
shouldn't
the
throw in the
towel.
towel.
No, we shouldn't throw in the towel, but it doesn't look good. I mean, the most
right.
likely scenario.
Well, okay, if there's not going to be
no, because Congress, American Congress is so stalemated. They can't do anything. They're ineffective.
Well, they're corrupt.
They're corrupt,
corrupt.
and also
They don't know
they're-
what- they don't know.
our political leaders are generally corrupt, stupid,
And spineless.
and spineless. There's no question of that.
Right.
and elected.
The
And
last great
elected.
American,
elected by-
the
by-
last
and
great
elected.
American president that we
Well,
had,
I mean,
the
people-
really truly last great American president, in
Well,
my opinion,
because-
was John F. Kennedy, and they killed him. They killed him.
Yeah, yeah.
He was a hero. He was the real deal, and they killed him
Yeah.
for it.
Yeah.
I mean, Reagan was a great man, but he wasn't the same kind of guy as John Kennedy was. And look what happened to him.
Yeah.
Somebody tried to shoot Reagan. They
Right.
did. They
Right.
shot him.
And I was with Bobby Kennedy a few 2 days before he was assassinated.
That's funny because I heard Bobby Kennedy speak in San Diego. I guess the night before he was killed. Two nights
Okay,
before.
Yeah, no, I was with him riding
with
on
him?
his car. I just sat when he came to San Francisco,
Yeah.
and he was driving through the South San Francisco
Yeah.
section.
You were at Stanford.
And I was working at Hewlett Packard.
You were working at Hewlett
shortly
Packard.
After, yeah, Hewlett Packard, and I just went and sat on the car. This was security. I mean, this is secure back then. Security. I just sat on the car as he was going through. He was standing on the trunk, and I was sitting on the trunk beside him. and for about an hour. Anyway, but that's all.
I mean,
okay,
all right.
Wait a minute.
Now, what about the man in the blue suit?
No.
You want to talk
We
about the
did
man?
that yesterday. We can. Do
Yeah,
that.
but we didn't do it here. He has this true story. When he was 16 years old, had the KGB in Leningrad tried to recruit him as a Manchurian candidate sort of type guy. And he ran away just when they were about to introduce him. He was a
Yeah,
virgin.
like
Just
chicken
about to
guys.
introduce him to a beautiful Russian femme fatale in Leningrad.
Oh right, yeah, they were gonna. I was introduced to a row.
When he was with his father,
military-
who was on the board of directors of General Motors, and an old friend of Dwight D. Eisenhower.
No,
Okay.
not a friend. He was a friend of Lawrence.
Rockefeller.
Of other
Oh,
Lawrence. He was
Lawrence
never
Rockefeller?
a friend of. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, but
And
Eisenhower
or
pointed.
David and
Oh,
Larry.
David
and Larry. Yeah.
Oh, the same as Bootsy. But the
Yeah.
point is, that your dad was the head of the Internal Revenue under the Eisenhower administration. So Eisenhower knew about it.
Treasury.
Treasury. What was he?
He was in charge of tax policy.
Tax policy and Treasury. Yeah.
Treasury. No.
Harvard professor at Stanford Hoover Institution. All that
Now,
stuff.
how do we get onto that? All
Well,
right, no, wait,
because-
you're distracting.
All right,
Yes.
we're digressing here.
We're
Digressing, and we're running low on time.
That's all right.
We're
That's all right.
running
We
low
did a
on
lot.
time.
Yeah,
We covered a
let's-
lot.
let's-
Hey,
all
but
right.
the stuff we're talking about is interesting to ordinary
All right,
people.
let's get back. Let's get back to the dire situation facing us.
All right, now,
and
as
how
I
we
was saying,
how we
I was
might
trying
be.
to say-
Let's try to have some optimistic kind of hopeful.
All right. Well, I was
frankly,
wait a minute,
frankly,
wait a
my
minute,
boys,
wait a
I'm not
minute.
optimistic at
Okay,
this
see,
moment.
this is a revelation to me because
I was.
Jack is on.
I
the,
was.
Jack is on the. We won't say fringe. We won't call you a fringe hippie.
No, I
This
mean, I was
is-
never a hippie.
We're never hippie.
No.
A guy who drives a Mint Jaguar is not a hippie.
No, never was a hippie.
Never was a hippie.
He wasn't
Even
a
though
hippie,
David
even when he
Kaiser-
had long hair down to his shoulders and a beard.
Well, at times, man, Bohemians have that.
Yeah, but he
Shakes-
wasn't a hippie.
I was never a hippie.
No.
So, How the Hippies Save Physics by MIT physics professor.
He was an eccentric.
I was an eccentric
Eccentric.
bohemian, yes.
Bohemian.
A
Right.
bohemian intellectual,
Yeah.
yes.
Not a hippie.
Not a hippie.
And you never
Nick-
touch the good stuff. You never touch the good stuff.
Well, I don't say that.
No.
But the point is, Nick Herbert was a hippie.
Yeah, he admits that he was a hippie.
And he's still a hippie in Boulder Creek. Nick Herbert is the hippie of the group.
right.
He's the
a
quantum-
hippie
Saul Paul
physicist.
Sarag, maybe a little bit of a hippie. Fred
Oh,
Wolf and
really?
I, physics professors at San Diego State in the late 60s, early 70s, we were never hippies.
All right, but
Fred Wolf drove an Alfa.
You were one of the main characters in how the
How the hippies saved-
Bohemians saved physics.
How the
How
hippies-
the Mavericks saved.
How the hippies saved
How the
physics.
hippies saved physics.
Yeah, the hippies is
Which is a marvelous book, by the way,
It's a
for
good
those
book.
out there
Yeah. Excellent book.
listening.
Yeah.
That should be
Explains,
read by anyone who's interested in this topic.
Until 4 minutes ago, I was hoping that Jack was going to once again save physics, but now he's saying
too late. Too little. Too
physics
late.
can't be. So I'm
No, I've saved physics, but physics can't save America. Physics is not going to save America. Physics is not going to save England. Physics is not going to save France. Physics is not going to save Germany, Spain, Italy,
All right.
Europe. It ain't going to save the Middle East. It ain't going to save China. It ain't going to save anything. It's too late.
Unfortunately, what might save it is a charismatic individual
like Hitler.
like Hitler.
Yeah, as long as he does,
Unfortunately.
if Hitler was not so crazy about the Jews, we'd all be speaking German today. Okay,
No, he'd be speaking Yiddish.
Yiddish. We'd all be speaking Yiddish. We'd all be-
Wait a minute. Don't make me laugh. Don't
Why
make me
not?
laugh. Wait a minute. Okay, so if physics is not going to save the world, then what about metaphysics?
No, that won't save the world either. ETs and UTs are coming down. They may save the world.
Metaphysics as in religion?
No, that ain't gonna save the world.
wait.
Religion has caused.
Well, yeah, that's where it depends. If it were ETs, then that would it be physics
Hey,
that would save
if
the
they-
world.
Yeah. If they come in their spaceships and they do
Yeah.
all this kind of scenarios like
Yeah.
falling skies, whatever all that stuff. War of the World. Well, not War of the Worlds, but some of the other science fiction there. Only a superior technology.
Right.
Showing wormholes, stargates, the kind of stuff, physics research I'm doing. Only if those guys are real and they appear in the next 5 to 10 years, or maybe
Right.
next 5 years,
Yeah.
do we have a chance. Otherwise, man, the bets are it's going to be very bad here, and I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah, me too.
All right.
I don't want to be correct in this Jeremiah prophecy.
Okay, so if it's ETs, then yes, they will have the technology that they are hiding, concealing from us.
Right.
That.
And let me tell you how it's going to work. Let me tell you how it's going to work. We have 9 billion people, or 7.
No,
to
7.
7 now.
Going on
9.
Yeah.
The only way it can work is like Moses parting the Red Sea. Giant wormholes in which we move billions of people to virgin earths and colonize.
Well, this is what my sister, the Montana militia woman, believed that they were going to be raptured to another planet.
Yeah, okay.
To another planet.
To another star, in another star system.
Yeah.
In another time, maybe a different time period of years. And without that happening, it's over.
All right. Well, let me just. What about all these rumored black technologies, deep black technologies that the U.S. is allegedly in
I don't think it's true.
Jack
I don't think it's true. Yeah, no. I'll tell you why it's not true. It's not true. That's all fantasy. That's all pie in the sky. Because in the year 2000, I was at Caltech at the Kip Thorne 60th birthday party, and John Archibald Wheeler was still alive.
Wow.
And John Archibald, the point is that the Princeton Physics School, John Archibald,
I went to school. He
went to school,
teacher.
Right. He was a teacher. They control the highest levels they control the students, all the students of John Archibald Wheeler, and then later Kip Thorne from Caltech, Kip is Wheeler's heir.
Yeah.
Okay, now he's retired. And they were all into this stuff. They have the highest security connections with Ed Teller. Yeah, I used to hang out with Ed Teller and John Wheeler in La Jolla at UCSD in the 60s. They used to come all the time with Urey and all those guys. Okay, they control. I was there. We were at dinners. In fact, it's in my book Destiny Matrix, photographs with Creon and Faustin, and the head of the Department of Energy. These are the CIA, everything. Their students, Princeton Physics Department from the 60s.
Back when Princeton was great.
When Princeton was great.
Yeah.
They control the highest levels of the National Science Foundation, Department of Energy. Okay, and they don't have this stuff.
How do you know?
Because I know.
He told you.
Well, they may not know.
I would
but
know.
Jack,
I would know because
That's my
they
point.
could have been lying.
They would get out.
They may have not been informed of what they really have. Things are highly compartmentalized.
I don't think so. I think that's pie in the sky. It's wishful thinking. You can't keep a secret that big, that secret for that long a time.
I agree with you. That it would be very difficult to keep a secret.
We have a few
of that
things.
Scale.
We don't have it. We do not have
So
it.
what is the secret then? We know there is an MJ-12, and they know something.
Yeah, but they don't know enough. They don't know enough. They don't know enough. They don't know. They don't know.
They don't.
Oh, they simply don't know what they have, if they have it.
But all right, but listen, if there is an MJ-12, and they do know that there are extraterrestrials,
that they may know.
All right.
That they may know.
There
but
are
they don't have a clue how to
extraterrestrials
use the technology.
that have been and continue to visit Earth, that have extremely advanced technology. Then that should be the impetus for us humans to try to do the same thing. Don't you agree?
Except it ain't gonna happen because nobody's putting the money it takes. We're talking about big. Oh, look, now there is a black helicopter.
Oh, good. Finally, we get
black helicopter. Let's end it here. We'll continue.
The black helicopter just showed up and is
they
hovering
finally
over
show.
the
Now,
garden.
is that helicopter black or not black?
It looks pretty dark.
It's a dark
blue,
helicopter.
Dark blue. I think it's
they
dark
know
blue.
we're here.
The black helicopter just showed up.
No, it's
They
dark.
know we
No,
are
it's
creating
purple.
the real revolution.
And they're not kidding, folks. There's a
kidding.
black
Can you get 'em?
helicopter hovering right over us.
Let me see if I can get in my iPhone.
In fact, I'm going to turn the camera around just to show you.
Turn the
that
camera
we're
around.
not making
They're
this
coming
up.
for us.
There it is. actually, it's not black. It's blue.
It's dark enough. It's dark enough.
It's like a news helicopter. Anyway, I think that's a good point to stop the broadcast for the day. 2012, and we're continuing this informal conversation between Dan Smith and Dr. Jack Sarfatti here in the Tuscan Garden. So, gentlemen, let's pick it up where we left off yesterday, minus the black helicopters.
Okay. So you got this thing from Gary Beckham?
Yeah.
You got this thing from
All right,
Gary
I'm
Beckham.
just saying, and behind the camera again today is Kim Rafato, who we request to him interject when a good question comes up.
Okay.
And we already have a question here before us that was texted in to us from Gary Beckham.
Well, let's do that first.
In response to my request for people can call in. People know the phone number here. They can call in and.
Well, we're not live, Dan, so forget that.
Well, I'll put it on the blog. That
On the
we're
blog,
going, and they'll say, tell now to start calling in.
Yeah, we're not live. We're simulation.
We're simulated live. Oh.
We're not live, so go ahead.
All right,
go ahead.
okay.
Shoot.
This is quote from Gary. Dan, ask Jack to discuss why Tegmark Level 1 and Level 3 worlds are fungible and what that means for Bohm, Pilot Wave, and Valentini signal non-locality.
Okay, let me just ask Jack to explain all that very technical
Especially
physics
wanting
jargon.
to explain what fungibility is.
And-
No, Dan has to explain what fungibility is. I don't know what
All right,
is that
Dan,
fungicide? Is that like is
you're
like
the
Charles
Princeton
Lindbergh's
grad,
regicide?
Dan, so explain what fungibility is.
It sounds like
because I get this genetically. Fungibility is primarily a economic fiduciary
Yeah.
term,
Yes.
and as Kim says, it means malleable. It means fiduciarily
Fungible, like you can
economically
squeeze it, like a sponge?
malleable. No, not spongeable. This is fungible. Right now, and why to discuss why the worlds are fungible. I understand the words, but I don't.
I understand what he's trying to get at. I don't understand fungible. But, okay, Max Tegmark is a bright, young physics professor at MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology. He's one of the NOVA crew with Brian Greene and Michio Kaku, people like that. And he has 4 levels in Scientific American. Go to his website, Max Tegmark's crazy website. He calls it his crazy universe, something like that. And he has 4 levels of reality. Level 1 is based on the modern inflationary cosmology, and where what's called eternal chaotic inflation means the universe, the multiverse, is like a bunch of champagne bubbles, and we just live on a little patch of a single champagne bubble, and that's called level 1. The size of the little circle that's inscribed on the champagne bubble is the so-called Hubble radius, which is roughly the size of our universe. It's about 10 to the 28 centimeters.
Is that the boundary of the universe?
It's the boundary of our future horizon.
All right,
yes.
but
It's the edge. It's the edge of time. so to
Okay, but
speak.
how much is that in light years?
It's of the order of
10.
14 billion light years.
14,
roughly.
okay.
Around there. Yeah, roughly 13.7. Around there. It also depends when you talk about the past boundary or the future boundary. So I'm being a little bit sloppy, but it's
You're
okay.
Being
All right.
fungible.
I'm being fungible.
All right.
All right. So now, so level 1 are the little Hubble circles inscribed on a single champagne bubble, and which is expanding, by the way, accelerating, in fact, because of the dark energy. And then level 2 is when you include all the bubbles. So there could be little Hubble circle universes on different bubbles, okay? Both levels 1 and level 2 are totally materialistic in the sense of classical physics, in the sense of Bohmian invariables. The Bohmian invariables are level 1 and level 2 parallel material universes. Level 3 are the quantum universes. Okay.
Yeah,
those are the quantum
these
universes.
Are the many worlds of.
Those are the many, and it's only level 3 that the people try to make quantum computers and quantum teleportation and quantum cryptography. All that stuff is only with level 3, but on a smaller scale, not entire universes, but just each little quantum system that they use. Like
I'm
a single.
trying to think of the student of Wheeler's who is credited with.
Well, he had a bunch of them. I mean,
That was Everett.
Chris Everett.
Everett, who apparently he died young.
Oh,
He died,
did he?
yeah. And what's really weird about Chris Everett, in 1957, he disappeared from public mainstream physics and went into the deep black Pentagon, some kind of secret work, and maybe he was working on flying saucers. Who the hell knows? 'Cause he just, and then he died. Died young. God knows what. We could do a whole kind of detective story that who killed, who killed him? Everett. Who killed Everett?
Yeah.
How did he die? But I'm just having fun with that. What kind of scotch was this? Dan?
Today, this featured scotch today, which you can get. This is easier to get in the United States.
Yeah.
It's Glendronach.
Glendronach, 15-year-old.
15-year-old.
This from our sponsor, William Glenn.
Yeah.
Scottish Imports.
By the way, this is not an
this-
ad. This
is
is
this-
not an ad for the Scottish Council, Scottish
Independence.
Council. This is independent.
We promote products we like.
Right.
Even
now,
if they
is
don't pay
Maurice
us.
going to be buying? Is this the one he's buying, or
Maurice's not buying that one. No.
he's buying? He's
not
buying
buying
another.
it.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Oh, and this is, by the way, this is not pure Scotch. This is at least
half
half
water.
diluted with water.
I
So
thought
don't worry.
Oh yeah, that's a
Don't worry
disclaimer
about
from
it.
Dan Smith there.
We have our friend.
Cut.
No, we can't.
Yeah, no, cut until it's over.
No, we
you can't talk about it.
It's too complicated.
All right, go ahead,
to
go. And he can just cut it. He can edit it
All
out.
right. Go
Okay.
ahead.
So that was our. That was.
Don't worry about it.
We're on level 3. Level 3.
I answer this question. So
Level
level
three,
three,
yeah.
level 3 are the thought-like mental pilot waves that move, that affect the dynamical motions of the level 1 and the level 2 hidden variable, Bohmian hidden variable multiple universe.
All right, Jack. Can you just do a quick explanation, if it's possible,
We'll
of
have
what a
pictures
pilot
here. We'll
wave?
have to put pictures in. We have to insert pictures. Okay.
All right, but wait a minute now.
In the final cut, we will put pictures in.
But there is a fourth. I thought there is a fourth level.
Yeah. The 4th is your level.
My level. That's
Wait for this to stop.
That is the Pythagorean.
So explain what a pilot wave is again.
Who's
The
back?
pilot,
level
in
3.
Bohm's theory of the quantum reality, it's a Cartesian dualism of basically mind and matter. All the quantum weirdness, all the weird stuff of quantum theory are due to the thought waves, basically intrinsically mental thought waves, although they don't have consciousness. And this is my particular variation on Bohm's original. Bohm would not quite said it this way, though he would if you pressed him, he would say, yeah, it's something like that. If you read Henry Stapp's early works, Henry Stapp refers to the quantum mechanical wave function with entanglement, all those things. He calls those thought-like objects. Thought-like, purely informational, entropic, okay? Whereas
Anthropic or entropic?
En, as in thermodynamic entropy. They have information, Shannon information kind of thing. The thought-like quantum waves are closely related to the Shannon theory of classical information theory, but it's that plus more. I mean, it has non-local features and context-dependent features, things like that. More like the way the human mind works. Everything is context dependent. You interpret things depending on the context, and quantum waves have that property as well. So they're thought-like. So it's that the fundamental physical reality itself immediately divides into thought-like quantum waves, or Bohm called the quantum potential, and material hidden variables.
Which is they're very dualistic.
Totally dualistic. I am an unabashed, proud
Cartesian.
I wear Cartesian dualism as a badge of honor. Okay, and all these philophores, all these dainty philophores who are saying there's something wrong with they don't know what they're talking about. They don't know the physics. Okay, but in the Bohmian physics.
Now we have your number though. You
Absolutely.
are a Cartesian dualist.
And I am a Cartesian dualist, and the quantum wave, the mental part of reality, intrinsic mental part, is the quantum wave function with entanglement. And the hidden variables, the matter parts, are the particles and the electromagnetic field configurations, the strong and weak field configurations, classical configurations, those boson fields.
All right. Well, we can hold off the level 4 because
level 4 is your level. It's metaphysics.
and we'll come back.
Yeah.
We can come back to
That's
that
all-
later. Let's
yeah,
finish now with Gary's question,
Yeah,
which is,
I answered it. Just answered it.
well, I didn't understand. What
The
what
answer
it?
is that level 3 is the thought-like aspect of reality,
Yeah.
and levels 1 and 2 are the material levels.
And what does that mean for Bohm, pilot wave, and Valentini signal non-locality?
okay,
which
well,
is, yeah.
The level 3 is the Bohm pilot wave.
Yeah.
It's one and the same.
All right. Why?
Okay,
Well-
and with level
And what does that have to do with level 1 then?
level 1 and level 2 are the same thing basically.
Well,
there's
all right,
no
then this
and
question
from the
is-
point of view of quantum theory. There's no distinction between
You
level 1
should
and
have
level
only
2.
mentioned level 3 then.
No, because level 3 is only half the story. You need level 1 and level 2 are the materialist hidden variables,
All
the
right.
matter in the Cartesian dualism, and level 3 is the mind.
All right. Is that,
Oh.
Gary, are you satisfied
Well, we don't
with
know,
this
Gary.
answer?
We don't-
You can
no,
call
but,
me,
but signal
Gary.
non-locality. Okay,
Gary,
signal.
call
okay.
me. You have my number.
Let me explain signal non-locality. Signal non-locality is what this latest paper by Aharonov and Elitzer, and I forget the third guy, that was in the physics org magazine on the internet just this right now as we're speaking. They
Now,
talk
when you
about
say Aronoff, I would pronounce it
Aharonov.
All right. but
Aharonov. Yakir Aharonov.
People who don't know him would call him
The Bohm of the Bohm Aharonov. Of the Bohm Aharonov effect.
Aronoff effect.
Yeah.
Which did they get a Nobel Prize?
No, they should, but
They should
didn't.
have.
They should.
But it was something about the spookiness, quantum spookiness.
Yeah, it's about quantum but what happens is, even though in what's called an interferometer, even though, say, an electron is moving through the interferometer, but it is not, it's in a field-free region. It's in a region in which there's no magnetic field,
Right.
but nevertheless,
Yeah.
when you change the magnetic field,
Quantum
to confine-
mechanically.
quantum mechanically,
Yeah.
the fringe pattern, the electron interference fringe pattern will shift depending on how much magnetic flux is going through a little solenoid, tightly wound
Right.
solenoid that's going through the center of the plane of the interferometer. Again, we can show pictures. We
Yeah.
have to show pictures of all.
Yeah, right.
Wikipedia is very good.
Can
We'll
you
just steal-
add,
yes, we'll add pictures. We'll add pictures.
Kim can add.
Yes. Yeah, I have to work
graphics.
with him. I have to work with him to add
Graphics,
graphics.
All right.
We'll do
okay.
this.
All right.
It's complicated. We don't want to confuse people.
No, no. We have a few
Yeah,
pictures.
yeah.
They won't understand
But we
without
can,
a picture. We have to have pictures.
Yeah,
We
well,
have
you
to
can have links somehow embedded
No, it's
in it. They
yeah,
could-
no.
all
I mean, you
right.
can have the picture.
All right,
There's no
yeah,
problem.
picture, all right.
If you do a link, you do a picture. It doesn't make any difference.
Whatever. Which? Yeah. All right. All right. Well, so
All right,
that
I mean,
answers. Oh, but you are now relating this to this
Yeah, I
conference
didn't.
that's coming up.
The conference coming up, and then in this latest paper, the conference is next week.
A live conference that everybody can view.
Everybody
on
can view the
internet.
conference. So you go to the Chapman Quantum Information Institute. Well, by the time this is on
Well,
YouTube, it'll be
no,
over.
well, we
It'll
can
be over.
excerpt some of this. Could be uploaded to YouTube
Maybe.
this afternoon
Well, I don't know. No, he can do that. We'd have to do that on the iPhone.
on the iPhone.
We can do a little
We do something.
commercial. Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Wait.
But I haven't gotten to the point
Oh.
because you keep interrupting.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
The point is that Aharonov talks about back from the future influences, how weak measurements made in the past anticipate freely chosen future strong measurements. See, in quantum mechanics, you have what are called strong and weak measurements. The
Oh, I didn't know that.
yeah, this is a,
I got it.
yeah,
Well, you have
I
to
know you didn't
explain
know
that to me.
Well,
You have to
okay,
explain
but
that
one
to
step
me.
at a time.
All
The
right.
strong measurements collapse the wave function The weak measurements do not collapse the way you function. They only give you partial information about what's going on with the quantum state, but with a lot of error. See, with a strong measurement, you can reduce the error, but you destroy kind of what you're measuring. But the thing is, if you do a sequence of weak measurements in the past and then strong measurements finally in the future, they argue that you can show that the strong measurement in the future had to react back from the future, back on the weak measurements. Okay, it'll kind of loop in time. Okay, however, here's the catch-22. However, you cannot verify this until after it all happens and you decrypt it through correlation, the whole Bell argument. So that's the signal locality. That's the signal.
Well, but you can't verify it, but it still happened, though.
Yes.
Still.
You can infer.
You can confirm after the fact that it happened.
Yeah.
Okay, but that's the limit of orthodox quantum theory with signal locality. Okay.
Locality.
Not what Anthony Valentini's talking about. What Anthony Valentini and I and Brian Josephson are all talking about, and we all kind of independently got to this position, is based on things like the SRI remote viewing precognition experiments, based on and based on even Darrell Bem's recent Cornell
which Ron
pre-sponsor.
shut down. He had them shut down.
Well, whatever.
Yeah.
The point is that the guys doing the weak measurements in the past will know in the past what the future free choice of the guy making the strong measurement in the future is going to be. In other words, real precognition.
That's profound.
I don't see that.
Well, that's what I'm telling. That's what signal locality means. And that violates. I'm telling you, that's what it means.
Non-locality.
No, signal no.
Well, okay.
That violates the basic postulates of orthodox quantum theory, according to most of the pundits in the field. They say that's impossible. They claim, but what they're doing, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Yes, you can make a consistent mathematical formalism in which what Aharonov says is exactly right, and you cannot tell with precognition, but the facts of experience are that there is precognition of living matter, so their model is no good. It has to be transcended. That's it.
Now, you have a mathematical model for this?
I have a partial mathematical, and
which has an interaction, non-linear interaction
between the thought waves and the matter waves.
So that's
the two-way
street. What do they call it? Your
feedback control loop.
No, what did Descartes call it? Not the pituitary. Yeah.
No pituitary.
Well, no, but that's what the link. Descartes thought that the link between the mind and the brain was focused.
But that's not what. But let's not. That's wrong. That's wrong.
That's what they call it.
That may be what it has nothing to do with what I'm talking about.
Well, but yours is the mathematical version of the pituitary.
Forget pituitary. Valentini has several papers dealing with the mathematics and how it works. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, Valentini. Will he be presenting them at the conference? Will he be mentioning them? Any of this non-local stuff be mentioned?
Oh yeah, the whole conference is about it.
About non-local.
Oh yeah.
But not necessarily.
Back from the future.
Well,
but we don't know whether they'll mention Valentini or not. That's interesting. I'm curious to see. See.
Well, how would they not? I mean, the three of you. It's you and Valentini and the third person,
Brian Josephson. No, because it's not. Yeah, this is a 80th birthday festival for Yakir Aharonov, and publicly he's not involved. He stopped. Aharonov is like Moses stopping at the River Jordan. He's never going to get to. What was it, Jerusalem? What were we getting to?
The promised land of milk and honey.
He's not going to cross. The only person who's crossed the river, did Joshua cross it? Was it Joshua?
No, the tribes of Israel.
All right, sounds like that. Aharonov, Wheeler, all these guys, even except Bohm. Bohm crossed the river. Bohm saw the possibility. Bohm saw the possibility. Okay. Yeah. But still hesitated to cross. He sort of like went halfway across and then came sort of thing. Yeah. But Aharonov, at least in his public statements, what he thinks privately, we don't really know.
Yeah. All right. So, Gary, if we get this on YouTube this afternoon, you can see, or I'll put this on the blog that you should call in if you have any further
Right.
questions, just text. He'll text. You'll
Right.
see.
Right now, what did you want to say about heaven and the soul? Go and do your thing.
Oh yeah. So I set out early this morning. I inspired. And everybody has been demanding from me that there be an agenda, outline agenda. So I didn't know what to do yesterday and all that. So I woke up this morning and I said, okay. And I emailed out to Kim,
So let me see what I got.
Kim, and to Jack,